I think we're live. Let's see. All right, we should be live. Just doing a quick audio check to make sure everybody can hear us. All right. Okay, looks like we're live. So then let's get started. So hello and welcome everyone to today's conversations about careers in the African space industry. My name is Kweku Suma. I'm the founder of Space Hubs Africa, and I'm here joined as well with Nelly from Space Hubs Africa, as well as a panel of different guests. As we get started and wait for some more people to join the stream, I would also like invite you already to share this video around, like the video, and get more people in here because I think today we'll have a great conversation. Thank you for joining us again on this beautiful Saturday. For those that don't know, Space Hubs Africa is building an online African space network. So we have a community platform that offers members different ways to get involved in space or learn about space and satellite technologies, as well as get involved in different events that are going on and just be more up to date in general. If you haven't already, I would invite you all to join. It's community.spacehubs.africa. You can find out more in general about us by looking at the description of this video. One of the community activities that we like to coordinate, and we have been coordinating a bit more regularly the past few months, is our regular webinars on the African space industry, which brings us actually to today. So today we have a great panel of guests. I'll hand over to Nelly to introduce them and kick us off here. Nelly, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Kweku. It's really great to be here, and I'd also like to appreciate all our guests for joining us. So, in no particular order, I'm going to be. Thank you very much, Kweku. Wonderful young Africans that we have here, and I'll be starting with Ilias Tanuti. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. So, Ilias has been awarded as top 10 young people active in the African space industry. I'm starting with that because it's very peculiar and interesting and really young. And he is the regional coordinator for Space Generation Advisory Council here in Africa. And he just finished his master's at the International Space University and the regional coordinator had his degree in aerospace engineering by the University of Manchester. Thank you very much, Elias, for joining us. And then our second guest here is Kingsley Ahenfora Daudu. He's the national point of contact for the Space Generation Advisory Council to Ghana, and he's a PhD researcher in physics and astronomy at the University of Leeds. It interests you to know that Kingsley was the past event manager for one of the biggest space conferences that we have seen here in Africa. He did such a wonderful job at the last African Space Generation workshop. So it's really great and interesting to have Kingsley here. Thank you so much.
Nelly, sorry to interrupt you quickly. Could you just keep your microphone a bit closer to your mouth because you cut in a little bit in and out? Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry. But is everything great now? Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, now I can hear you perfectly. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Okay, so and the next person we have here is Saina Williams, and she is a co-founder of African Women in GIS, and she's one of the stars we have as our guest today. She was named as one of the 50 rising stars in the geospatial industry recently in February 2021. So it's really great to have Saina Williams here. Thank you very much for joining us. I don't know if Andrew is live now. Oh, great. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Andrew. So, Mr. Andrew works at the Kenya Space Agency and the Ministry of Defense as a systems engineer, and he has a very wide experience in the space sector over 15 years, and his interest is in utilizing space technology for societal benefits here in Africa. It's really great having you join us, Dr. Andrew. Thank you very much for coming. So yeah, that's a brief introduction for all our guests. So we'll take presentations from all of them. Then we'll have questions and have a very wonderful conversation. This is not an interview. We are going to talk about how to get involved in the African space sector and how to find your footing if you're new in the industry. So just stay with us. So our first presentation is going to be from Sarina Williams. If she's ready to share her screen now. Over to you, Williams.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Thank you very much, Kweku, for introducing me and for inviting me to this wonderful program. Let me try and share my screen now.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time. Of course, I think everybody has been in a lot of Zoom meetings this year, so we always know the awkward moment when you wait for someone to get the technical side set up. But yeah, I think we're all used to that by now.
Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
And do you see a Ghana map?
Yes, we can.
I don't know if that's Ghana map, but I can see a map.
Okay, yes. So this is a stylish Ghana map. So today I'll be talking a bit about my journey and some of the things that I am involved with, including my work and my organization, African Women in GIS. So to start off, my full name is Sihana Lena Williams. I am Ghanaian and I'm currently working with Microsoft Norway, and I'm located now in Norway. So let's begin, shall we? My story starts off before university, where I realized that I had interest in geography. I derived some sort of inspiration from my brother, since he was a geography student when he was in high school. He is 5 years older than me, so you can imagine the age gap and how far away he was from me in terms of education. So when I was in primary school, he was in high school, and I used to review his textbooks because they had really nice pictures. And at that time, I was really into National Geographic Channel. So those pictures of the geographic systems were things that were really of interest to me. So this is a picture of me in high school. That's later on in life, I decided to pursue geography. So when I got the opportunity to choose my courses in high school, I decided to choose the combination that had geography. Moving on. So my passion for geography followed me through to university. It was a bit difficult for my parents because they were a bit worried as to what I could use geography for at the time. Most people did not know much about the different career options for geography. Therefore, it was a bit difficult for my parents to be okay with my decision to pursue geography. So in the university, I managed to graduate with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Geography and Resource Development with Psychology from the University of Ghana. And that was where I found Geographic Information Systems, that's GIS, as well as remote sensing. That was during my third year as I was researching my elective courses to choose for the year. I realized that this field was really important and that if I was to pursue it in some years to come, it would deem really important in our country. So although I had some warnings from a few friends who were concerned because in the previous year, most people who took that course did not really pass, I still decided to pursue it and take the risk. So that was one thing that I think I do not regret at all, that I took the risk to pursue the GIS course and I came out successful and I decided to take it up with my long essay. So the map you see here is a map from my undergraduate long essay that was titled Urban Sprawl and Water Supply in Urban Accra, whereby I assessed 6 communities and took a sample size of about 50 from each community to kind of take into consideration their water supply issues and also to assess using remote sensing how long or how far urban sprawl has taken place in these 6 communities. So this first map is showing in the year 1991, whereby the concentration was just around a few communities. Then in 2000, you can see that it's spreading further out into the rural areas. And in 2016, it's spreading further out past the rural areas. So this came to show the 3 different types of cities. That is the core city, the mid-core city that are classified as being between an urban city and a rural city, as well as the peri-urban. That is like the part of the town that is at the outskirts of the core and the mid-core. Moving on, this passion for GIS followed me again into my national service. Those of you in Ghana, you get to know that after your university degree, you are supposed to serve one compulsory year to the nation, which I did as a private organization that was a startup. That's Henson Geodata Technologies, which was a GIS and software company. So since it was a startup, I ended up taking a lot of roles at the company, where I took up a GIS technician role. I was an administrator, I was a program manager, I was a project coordinator, and I was even a PA, a personal assistant to the CEO. So that was where I got a really wide range of exposure to different roles, and it kind of shaped my foundation in the working space. So moving on in my journey, I figured out that from the research I did, geographic information systems had a bit of programming. Therefore, I decided to take up the opportunity with a new organization that was Developers in Vogue to learn some form of programming. So that was where I learned a bit of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That was kind of like the foundation studies that exposed me to the tech industry. So after that, from my first company, that's where I served my national service, I was asked to represent and pitch the company software. That's a fall armyworm software that we created, a pest and disease management system that was supposed to help with the then fall armyworm infestation. There was a tech prize competition that came up, and our company was invited to take part, where I represented with a colleague called Nathaniel Achiago. And even though it was our first encounter with this kind of competition, we were able to place third, taking up the Frontier Innovation Award. That was in 2018. Next, I followed my gut and I got another job at Volte Ghana Limited, Coca-Cola Beverages Africa, after national service. And over there, I was asked to help them apply GIS to their operation systems in distributing their products. So that was where I took the advantage to kind of pursue my interest in applying geographic information systems in the business world, because I have a very strong theory that if all businesses or all companies that can use the location factor or use the location factor can employ GIS personnel, we will have a much better chance at getting more jobs for people who pursue such courses. Now, after that, I became a LinkedIn coach, where I started teaching people how to utilize LinkedIn to build their personal brand and to also get them a much bigger chance at getting opportunities and being called for interviews or getting job opportunities. Because I know that right now, since we're in the digital age, especially due to COVID, social media is like the best platform that you can sell yourself, not in a negative sense, but as in sell your skills and let people know how capable you are, because no one will know what you can do unless you show them. Now, next, I also decided to grow as a speaker, as I am doing now, where I decided to speak about self-development, the STEM fields. I don't know all of them, but I try as much as possible to encourage people, especially the ladies, to pursue the courses if they are of interest to them. I also like to talk about GIS to create more awareness, because I know a lot of people don't know about that course. I did not know about that field until my third year in university. So I took it upon myself to become a speaker and talk more about it, as well as personal branding, to help the youth to not only sit down and say, oh, there are no jobs, but to actually get up and do things with their skills, build their skills, and also use that to build a brand and stand out. After I joined Women in Geospatial, which is also a geo community, a worldwide geo community for women of all genders, women of any country that come together as one and share common interest in the geospatial sector. And after I joined Microsoft, this was a very big part of my life. That was last year. And I'm currently working as a user experience researcher at Microsoft. So I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and that's one part of a journey that you can never stop doing, that is learning. Now, a bit about what I do. Working at Microsoft, I work as a user experience researcher, as I said, where I help to kind of bridge the gap between customers and software development teams, where any prototype or any design that they come up with, I try as much as possible to get the insights from customers and relay it in a more understandable fashion for the teams that involve the designers, the PMs, the software developers, to make them understand what is important in the job in their user market. Now, I'd also like to highlight a bit about what I did at Baltic, at Coca-Cola Beverages Africa, where I created a more efficient delivery system for their products. So here's an example of how I did it, where at the beginning stage, you need to take your data, that's you have to pick the data. So those who are familiar with GIS, you understand this very well, where you need to take your data. And after that, you need to know what the business needs. So if the company tells you that they would like to divide their area per a specific target or value, you'd have to know what that value is and use that as a base to do your division for them to divide their service area into different and easily manageable sections. So this is an example where you can see the bigger overview here, where you have 2 territories. And this is a much more deeper understanding of a different territory, one of the territories. So moving on, this is a map that kind of shows what you can do with the data. So this is customer geodata, where you can visualize where your customers are located and know the volume of products that they usually order for. So with this, you can do so much with it. This is a little map that is a pseudo map. It's not a real data map because every business has confidential data. Therefore, you are not at liberty to take the data or use the data for personal use. Therefore, I had decided to just use a sample data to show an example of what I did there. Now, this is the last stage of what I used to use the data for. After dividing into territories, I was tasked to also divide into routes so that they can be scheduled for each of the drivers. Then they know which day or which area to go to on which day. So this kind of created a scheduled system for them to easily deliver their products efficiently and also in a more manageable procedure. So with this, they were able to prevent territory disputes and everybody knows their area that they are assigned to or where they are entitled to serve. So with this, it's much more easy to track sales and also make even future trajectories more efficiently. So one thing I like to keep telling people is that remember that if your business has location, you can definitely embed some form of GIS into your systems and also employ GIS people to help you make that kind of analysis. Now moving on, this is a third thing that I'm really involved in, that is building African women in GIS community. So this is a community that is supposed to help ladies, that is African ladies all over the world who are interested in GIS or the geospatial fields, who are working in the geospatial fields or studying in the geospatial fields, to come together as one to help each other to gain mentorship, to get access to job information, to get access to courses and things that can help them grow in their career, and also to get involved in projects that can help build their portfolios. So here currently we have about 400 plus members residing in over 30 countries. And I'm happy to say that most of our members are benefiting from the community. We have a lot of them residing in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, Egypt, and South Africa. And we are still growing. Therefore, we have about 22 volunteers who are helping my co-founder and I to run the community. So my co-founder is called Chidima Omiegu. She's a lecturer in Nigeria, currently pursuing her PhD, and we work together to help the ladies feel more comfortable and get enough out of the community as they want to help them in their career. So this map kind of shows the location of all the members that we have. At the last part of the list, you see how many there are in the different countries. But mind you that this map does not show the concentration, it rather just shows the countries that we have members in. Therefore, some countries we have just a few, like one person, because those places are quite different from where we are used to. That's like Russia, China, and Indonesia. So we have a few members who are in different parts of the world that are part of our community. So a bit about our community, how we came into existence. As I keep telling people, is that I have never met my co-founder before in physical form. We met over LinkedIn, and we have stayed friends, sisters since we met in June. Sorry, we met sometime in June 2019, where we decided to have a conversation and we booked some time to talk. And through that talk, we came to realize that we were facing really common issues. And at the time, she had her own community, that's Women in GIS Nigeria, and I was now building Women in GIS Ghana. So we got to know that from our conversation, we kind of had things in common and we wanted to solve the same issues. Therefore, we decided to come together to join our communities and form African Women in GIS. Now, some of the problems that influence our existence is that we realized that there was low level of awareness of the geospatial field. Most people had no idea what the field was, and people lacked the knowledge of the vast applications and growing needs of the technology. And we also realized that most people, when they graduate, they do not know what to do next, because I faced that issue that when I was in my undergraduate degree um, level, I realized that I did not know a lot of African women who looked like me, like people who looked like me, that were pursuing the field. Therefore, I was a bit lost. I did not know what to do next. So when I got the opportunity to do my national service, that was when I met like-minded people like me. But I wanted to kind of talk to ladies who were also in the same field, because we kind of have similar issues when it comes to gender-related things. And I was finding it difficult to find women. I decided to search on LinkedIn and I found just a few, and that was where I found my co-founder. So we realized that there were two different problems in terms of dealing with the geospatial industry. That was the fundamental problems and the career path problems. So for the fundamental problems, we realized that the field is predominated by men. We hardly get a lot of ladies. Therefore, ladies who want to take up that career find it difficult because they do not have other ladies to ask for certain related issues, to know how to handle issues related to them. And we also realize that we don't have that much a good proper career guidance at the grassroots, that as children who are coming up are not exposed to career guidance. Our school curriculum was inadequate. It was not good enough to help the children choose the kind of or pursue the courses and things that are of interest to them. We also had lack of exposure to African female and GIS role models, and as well as what I mentioned earlier, the grassroots. They were not aware of the different career options that they had. Therefore, they kind of went through their lives in a close-minded kind of system, which was very not really good for them to explore their creativity and their interests. We also realized that some career options were based on the gender career tenacity of African parents who decided that, okay, so science is not for you, especially if you're a lady, because you might not be able to handle things like that. So why don't you just go and do maybe nursing or something? I'm not degrading any career path, please. Every career path is very important, but it's a different matter when it's at the expense of the interest of the child. Therefore, we wanted to handle, or we kind of outlaid all these kind of problems. The next is the career path problems, where someone like me, when I finished school, I realized that I also could relate to some of these issues, whereby I do not have access to GIS job information. If you're someone who doesn't know social media very well, it becomes a problem. And I had there are limited number of GIS jobs. There was a lack of GIS mentors. As I mentioned, I was not able to find women who looked like me, who could help guide me, and also inaccessible or unaffordable GIS events and skills upgrade courses. It was very difficult to find affordable courses, and when you finish school, you hardly have enough money for even your transportation to even think about taking up courses. So that was a really big hurdle. And also no knowledge of community membership for you to have women around you that are having the same interest as you, who can help guide you and mentor you. So these are some of the things that we realized that is of a very big problem, and that was what influenced our decision to create African Women in GIS. So from that, currently we are having a number of activities that are helping our members. We try to organize webinars. We are in collaboration with some organizations like North Star, that is a Black community within Esri. We are also in collaboration with IBISA, that is an organization that aims to help farmers through insurance by providing satellite images that classified satellite images that have gone through a system by watchers. So we have people who are known as watchers in that organization who help or volunteer their time to provide their services by trying to analyze the satellite images that they provide so that the farmers can use that as a base for asking for insurance for their farms. We also have internal events where the members are at liberty to work with the executives to organize events that are geared towards the interests of the members. We also have member speaker profiles where we try to encourage our members to come up as speakers to talk about their work, what they do, and also to get platforms that they speak for what they do and also represent African women in GIS to show the world that we do have African women in the field. We also have active collaborations with so many organizations, and we are open to having more. Therefore, if you're interested, please reach out to us, and then we'll be happy to have a conversation on that. So post-COVID, we aim to have more GIS outreach programs, especially to schools and perhaps companies, where we'll try and teach the children and show them the different career opportunities that they can take up. We hope that this program will help build more awareness about the field, and we can therefore get more people to not only take the field up, but also people who give us opportunities to practice the field, because you can train people, but if there are not a lot of career options for them to take up, they will stop and they will go to another field. So therefore, that's one of the things that we aim to do. And we are hoping that we'll be able to do that right after COVID. So unfortunately, even though COVID-19 has come to bring a standstill to some things, it has also brought a certain level of awareness for GIS, and therefore we as African women in GIS have decided to take that up as an opportunity to show people the numerous applications of GIS to encourage them to utilize the field and the technologies. So please, we are open to members. If you're an African woman and you are interested in the geospatial industry, or you are in the geospatial industry, you can join us. You can find us on LinkedIn and Twitter, and our website at africanwomeningis.org. And please just join us, or just follow us to see our journey and view the geospatial world through the eyes of African women. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tiana, for that amazing presentation. Thank you so much. That was great. I am so inspired. You are a total role model for young women all over the continent interested in GIS and space generally. So we are going to come back with a few questions for you, but let's take out the presentations. So I don't know, Kingsley, are you ready? Would be very glad to hear from you.
All right, that's fine. Let me share my screen quickly. Enter screen. Okay. Yeah, so I have some few slides here, hopefully. Yeah, please, can you see my screen now?
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm sharing my whole screen, so I can't see anyone from the background. All right, so thank you so much, Nelly and Kwaku, and thanks to the Space Hub Africa for putting this together. I'm happy and privileged to be part of this panel. The name is Kingsley Ahinkradedu, and of course, the focus will be on career in space. I will touch on how I got into the space industry and some other few information that may interest you as we go along, and I'll be more than happy to get in touch during after this discussion. Yeah, so this is the second session, and of course, so if you missed the first session, you can visit the Space Hub Africa, their webpage, and I'm sure you will enjoy the first session. And if you've not tried this jump and snap before, please do. It's quite fascinating. All right, so I've captured this particular slide as the story, and this is where it all began. If I begin to start from the junior high school to the secondary school to the university, then I'm sure you will spend almost the entire day in this particular discussion. Yeah, so I completed my first degree at the university, at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and it was then that I developed a lot of interest in physics. I had a lot of questions to know more about the universe, study the stars, are we alone? Questions about creation, religion, science. I had a lot of questions that I needed answers to. So with that curiosity and that interest and that passion, it drove me into the field of space science and astronomy. It was then that I heard of the development in Africa with radio astronomy, which was the human capital development aspect of the Square Kilometer Array project. And the aim was to bring together a new generation of the African radio astronomers together. So we were the very first batch to be selected for this particular project. We were 10 in number, and that is Professor Marvin Hall, who is the lead from the University of Leeds. The good thing about this project is that it has the theoretical aspect during the training, and we had also the practical aspect, which I enjoyed so much. What happened was that whilst I was doing this particular training, I was still doing my master's at the same time. And it was not easy. I've been doing multitasking for some time now. So yeah, so it was during those times that I developed a lot of interest. For my master's thesis, I have to work on radio frequencies because of the interest that I developed as a result of this particular training. So after this training, 3 of us were selected to be part of the science commissioning team for the AVN project, the African Very Long Baseline Interferometric Network. And I was trained as a radio telescope operator. So I was operating this huge 32-meter dish at Kuntunsi in Ghana. You can see me over here, and that's my boss and my mentor, Professor James Siboisi. He's been very helpful throughout my career. And as part of my job, we also engage and we receive students, teachers, young professionals, and people who love to hear about the space science, people who want to know about how we make good use of the dish to do science with it. And this picture was also during the inauguration of the Ghana Radio Astronomy Observatory. And of course, I was privileged to stand less than 10 meters to have a picture with the president of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo during that time. And that was my supervisor, Professor Marvin Hall, who was also on the grounds during this particular inauguration session. And we are focusing on career in space. And one aspect which is very important is training and networking. And because of that, I get myself engaged in a lot of conferences and workshop. One of the interesting one that I attended was in Ethiopia. I was looking for pictures, but unfortunately I didn't get any picture. I really had fun in Ethiopia. Rich culture in almost everything. I've traveled almost throughout most of the African countries because I was involved in this particular project, the DARA. I was working for the SKA and also for the Ghana Space Science and Technological Institute. This particular picture was in Queen's University. That was when I was in my first year. It was one of the workshops that I attended. This one was in South Africa before I started my PhD at the University of Leeds. And this was SETI workshops, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence in South Africa. You can still see my boss, Professor James Chibozi, over here. This one was also on data acquisition and data processing at the United States of America, New Mexico. We use the VLA data to also play around with the data. So it's one of the good workshops that I really enjoyed. And this was our annual DARA conference that we do have. That is when we present our work and we share ideas and we try to network with each other in the field. And this one was in St. Andrews. It was Monte Carlo workshop, and that was on simulations and modeling, and that is something that I've been doing so far for my PhD. And I'm sure you will see very familiar faces over here. This was for the during the African Leadership Congress in Nigeria. That was the Youth Forum. So you can see me over here with my beautiful shirts that I do love so much. And you can see some familiar faces over here as well. So talking about conferences and then workshop. I led as the event manager to organize, of course, one of the very big events in Africa in terms of space science, and that was the 4th African Space Generation Workshop, which was a hybrid event held in Ghana. We were able to get a lot of sponsorships, and we made a lot of friends and networks, which is one important aspect. One of the pre-events that we had was the Space Generation Advisory Council, DARA Big Data Hackathon Competition. It is very important that we always handle data and we manipulate and we use the data. So as part of the workshop, we decided to get that aspect as well, to get our delegate to work on data and process data and compete and give award the winning team. We were also able to get the International Space University on board by the support of Elias, and they were able to offer 6 scholarship to our delegates, 3 for the space studies program, and then 3 for the Master of Science program, which was one of the big things that happened during our event. We were also able to engage with Susan and her team at the Mars Moon Aeronautics Academy and Research Science. They were also able to support our delegates with 12 full scholarship and unlimited partial funding, which most of our delegates also benefited from this particular thing. So the good thing about attending events is that you just don't attend the event for event's sake. You make friends and it creates a lot of opportunities. And that was the main aim when I was leading this particular project. And I'm happy to say Nelly, who is our moderator now, is one of the awardees for the ISU scholarship. And I'm sure she's preparing to attend probably this year or next year. Yeah, and a lot of other colleagues who also benefited from this particular session. And I'm sure we hope that it will still continue on for the next year as well. Good. So you can see the very nice the hybrid atmosphere. We're able to get a lot of speakers on board, and we really enjoy and entertain ourselves. There are other activities that I get myself involved in also. And I serve as the national point of contact for Ghana for the Space Generation Advisory Council in support of the United Nations Program on Space Application. Over here in England, I also serve as the Media and Communication Secretary for the National Union of Ghana Students Association. Of course, we do organize events like this. We organize webinars to engage and interact with students, create the network and enabling atmosphere, especially when you are outside Ghana. A lot of people are very depressed and anxiety is killing most of us. So such environments and such programs is very good for us. I've also been involved in a lot of outreach, and one of these outreach was organized by the Praxac team. And this was when I returned back to Ghana to support during the DARA program together with Professor Ben Stapes from the University of Manchester. We engaged the students during an outreach event. And currently, I'm also working with a group of talented and very brilliant team. And we are organizing the very first ever student satellite design and build event in Ghana. That is the Ghana CANSAT Rocketry Championship as part of the World CANSAT Rocketry Championship. It will start next month. And of course, if you are interested, please kindly get in touch to support or to participate. You are always welcome. Now, I'm a PhD student. I'm in my final year at the University of Leeds, hopefully to finish early next year. I'm working on this particular object, which is called DR21 Ultra Compact H2 region. So this object, as you see over here, is a massive star forming region. And just as every location on Earth we have is, I'm sure you saw the presentation by Sana Williams. So every location on Earth we had our longitude and then latitude. The sky has also been mapped in such a way that at every location we know of its declination and then the right ascension. So see this as a patch of the sky over here, and that is the intensity over here. Yeah, and this is a massive star forming region. So this is a massive star forming region, meaning that there is a massive star somewhere here. And these massive stars at their very initial formation stage, they are obstructed by dust. So we can't see them with our eyes or with the optical telescope. So I might say that massive stars are stars that are 8 times bigger than that of our sun. And these massive stars, they emit copious amounts of radiation in the ultraviolet range, which are capable of heating up the dust particles and making it possible for us to study the dust emission using in the infrared region using ground-based telescope. And this is the James Clerk Maxwell telescope, the SCUBA telescope, which is the sub-millimeter common user barometer array telescope in Huawei. And we can also use space-based telescope to observe these. We can use the Herschel Space Telescope, which I use for this particular, I use so much for this object. This is the Herschel Space Telescope. And because these massive stars, they emit high ionizing radiation, these ionizing radiation, they are capable of ionizing the abundant hydrogen in the interstellar system, which then, so this is the region which we call the H2 region, this is the ionized region. So once the radiation heats up the abundant hydrogen, it forms this ionized region, and that is where my concentration is. And we use ground-based radio telescope. This is the very large array telescope in the New Mexico in the United States of America. Yeah, so this is the object that I'm actually studying now. It's been observed at different wavelengths, and so it starts very small. When it starts to heat up the dust particle, it starts very small. We call it hypercompact. Then it begins to expand because of the high pressure. Then we have it as ultra compact. Then it expands again to compact. Then it expands to H2 region that we can see with our eyes and with the optical telescope. So what I'm doing currently is to study this particular object. I'm trying to model and simulate this object and then investigate its evolution and its morphology. And that is what I'm doing. I will not go detailed because that is not what we're doing, and I will not be boring you so much. But if you want to know much more detail, please get in touch and we can speak more detail on that. Yeah, the good thing about all these things is that the skills are transferable in almost all the field in science. And one of such field is in the data science, which I love so much and I engage myself so much. You can see me over here. And one of the other skills that also is, you can be a researcher by joining us as a researcher. And you can also work as a lecturer if you want to impart knowledge to people. And that is one thing that I also do at Leeds Beckett University. I teach mathematics. It's over there. Or you can join us as a space dancer and enjoy the beautiful dance from our team over here. And so thank you so much. And before So just enjoy the background. As part of our work, we do have fun. We do entertain ourselves when we go for conferences. Let me stop this one here. And there are a few things that really push us up, and it's about the rewarding field of our presentation. I mean, when you do all this work and you get reward, it's very important to acknowledge it. I was also acknowledged as the member of the month after this particular organization, and that was good. And also, I was selected as one of the top 10 together with some of my colleagues over here. That was the top 10 under 30, the class of 2019, and that was also another good thing happening to me as well. I would not waste much time because you'll be engaging once again. Thank you so much for your audience, and I look forward to engaging more further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kingsley. That was a very great presentation. I'm actually trying not to laugh so hard. I just saw myself dancing. And I thought I was dancing properly, but like looking at it right now, and I'm so embarrassed. But
perhaps let me show you your dancing moves over here.
You've had an so we'll come back with a few questions. Quickly, Elias, I don't know if you're ready. I wish you were in Ghana to also dance so that we all.
I wish. Unfortunately, COVID did not allow me to go to Ghana. It was hopefully another time I'll be able to visit and go to the next African workshop. But yes, I'm ready to talk. So yeah, I guess I'll start. So I don't have a presentation, so I apologize for that. You guys will be seeing just my face while I speak. But yes, I think I'll also focus a bit more at the beginning on how did I get into space. So I think the 5 first minutes of my talk will not really be about space. They will be about just how did I get there. So as some of you may know, I'm from Morocco. I'm from Tangier, which is a little, well, it's not little actually, it's quite big city in the north of Morocco. It's just under Spain. We're like 14 kilometers far from Spain. So, and the reason for which I'm saying this is that I actually went to a Spanish school in Morocco, but that made my first language be Spanish, well, together, of course, with Darija, which is the version of Arabic spoken in Morocco, and me, Spanish being my first language, together with Darija, meant that most likely I would go to do my studies in Spain. And I think by the time I was 16, I was already kind of sure that I would want to do aerospace engineering. The truth is that it had nothing to do with space, not even aviation. The reason for which I wanted to do aerospace engineering was Formula One. I have always been a very big fan of Formula One, and some of you may know that most of the aerodynamicists have studied aerospace engineering. In fact, I think it's Imperial College. Most of them come from Imperial College because it's one of the top universities for that. So I in fact applied for Imperial College among some other universities in the UK. And the first time I told my dad that I wanted to go to do my studies in the UK and do aerospace engineering, he was, no, that's not happening. So mainly not so much because of the aerospace engineering part, which also they were not, they tried for some time to convince me not to do that and try to do some, like, let's say more standard engineering, one where I will find more jobs in Morocco. But I had that very clear in my mind, so they were not able to convince me. But regarding going to study in the UK, yes, I mean, I remember quite clearly the words of my dad were, "You're crazy. I don't have that money." So, but which is fair enough. I mean, it's for international students, it's crazily expensive to study abroad in most countries in Europe, which sometimes makes it very hard to have the same number of opportunities. Because of course there is quite good universities in Morocco. There's quite universities in Ghana, I'm sure, as well, and all over Africa. But we cannot negate that at least for certain careers, the difference is quite big between Europe and Africa. And I think all the ones related to space and STEM subjects in general is that's the case. So So yes, I just kept pushing, kept getting very good grades, and at some point, somehow, my dad decided that he will spend all of his money on me. So, which was an interesting choice, but I guess it went well. So I ended up going to the University of Manchester. The reason for which I did not want to go to Spain is that I wanted something different. I was actually already quite familiar with the Spanish culture. All my friends were going to go to Spain. And also, I would say that the UK is one of the best countries to study, not necessarily because of the content, but more because of the way people think in terms of providing opportunities to university students. It's a much more practical way of doing things, much less theoretical, and one where you really learn to think by yourself, to really create by yourself. Of course, it's up to you whether you want to take that challenge or not, but they give you that opportunity. And so yes, I applied for Imperial, University of Manchester, University of Bristol, a few of them. I got rejected from Imperial College, which anyways, my dad didn't have the money to pay for that one because it was the most expensive. And yes, I got the chance to go to the University of Manchester, which is a super international place. That was one of the other reasons I really wanted to go there. Because compared to Spain, I mean, in Spain it was going to be me, a few more Moroccans, maybe some other international people, but mostly it was going to be Spanish people. While it's in the UK, I mean, in the accommodation I was staying at, in the corridor, there were 20 rooms, there were 18 nationalities. So that was a big part of my decision. And I went there, and I really enjoyed my experience in the University of Manchester. Quickly, my passion for Formula One linked to aerospace engineering turned into a passion for aviation. So Formula One became kind of the second thing. And later on, much later on, that passion will turn into space. But it didn't happen on my first year, not even on my second. Although it was on my second year, the first time that I applied for, like, let's say, a project related to space. And it was also the first year where I had a subject on space, which was space flight, something like that, which was just all the basics on space engineering. And so there was this project which is organized by the Club Européen d'Astronautes, like the European Club of Astronauts, something like that. It's sponsored by ESA, like Dassault, and some other companies. And it's on suborbital flight, so let's say space tourism. And you have to write a report on one of several topics in a team, and then you get to travel to Paris and present the work at Le Bourget Museum, which, if you don't know what it is, it's one. In France, it's definitely the best museum for space and aircraft. And so I applied for that with a team of friends. I have to say that now, when I look back at the reports that we wrote, it was terrible in all senses. It was a disaster. But we were quite lucky because we still got to travel to Paris to present our work. In fact, the university paid for us, so that was really, really cool. And yes, that was, like, let's say, my first experience doing something really on my own on space and studying all of its stuff. And then on third year, I think it was where the big shift towards space happened. Although not even really, it was even after that. So in my third year is when we had this design 3 course. So in each year there will be a design course, which will be you in a team of people with some sort of project. And in this case, it was a really big team, and it was going to be on a competition format. And I'm a very, very competitive person, even if I might not show it. So I wanted to win that, and yeah, so we were a team of 12 people doing a study on an in-orbit servicing vehicle for geostationary satellites. So basically designing a satellite which can go up to geostationary orbit, where you have all the big telecom satellites, and extend their lifetime, because usually these satellites have a lifetime of 15 years, more or less. But the reason for which they finish their lifetime, it's not so much because their electronics stop working, but more because they run out of fuel, so they are no longer able to keep their position. So that was the concept. yeah, so we did this. I was selected as, let's say, the chief engineer, which was quite a nice thing, I guess. And it was a really tough experience. Like, it was my first time kind of managing a group of like a big group of people, each one of them with with the things they were good at, with the things they were not so good at, just like me. And it was a super good experience, super stressful as well. But it ended up in a really nice way because we won, and I was quite happy with what we had done, and so on. The prize was just a box of chocolates and a round of applauses, but it was nice. And so throughout that year, I was still trying to apply actually for both aviation internships and for Formula One internships. And I really wanted to do an internship because I knew that as an international student, if I just waited to graduate and then look for a job, it will be quite difficult, especially because also at the time, the UK, together with Brexit, they were already starting to tighten kind of the requirement for foreigners to stay. So I had quite clear on my mind I wanted to do an internship the next year. And so I applied to a few Formula One teams. I think I got an interview with Toro Rosso, which was awesome to go visit their facilities and so on. I got rejected for that, but it was still an awesome experience. I got an interview with Mercedes, to which I did not go to because it was really not the kind of thing I wanted. It was more on engines, and I had clear that I wanted to do things related to aerodynamics. And then I also had an interview with Airbus, which I thought had gone very well, but then I was rejected as well. And then I found myself, okay, I have no internship, and I've been rejected pretty much everywhere. But then another opportunity came, which was this company. I think at that time I did not even know them very well. It's Thales Alenia. It's a joint venture between Leonardo and Thales, which are two super big groups. One of them is French, one of them Italian. And Thales Alenia, after Airbus, is the biggest company in space in Europe, at least. And yeah, so I just sent my application there and so on, went to the interview. The interview went very well, and I got accepted into it. So the next year I had this 12-month internship in Bristol, which is a city in the south of the UK. And I think after 1 month, I already had super clear in my mind that I will dedicate the rest of my career, or at least long term, to space. I was enjoying it so much that there was no doubt. Like, I was okay, this is my thing. And the aspect that I most enjoyed, and I still most enjoy, is systems engineering and doing early phase design of space missions. So when you actually get to touch a bit of everything, be more creative, be more innovative, and so on. And the team where I was the Advanced Concepts team, which was a team which looked at that kind of stuff, like missions that will not happen, in 3 years, but will happen maybe in 7, 8, 10 years. So I was looking at things that were really innovative and really disruptive. And it was an amazing experience, mainly because of my supervisor, Andy Bacon, with which I'm still in contact. He was such a great person to work with, super inspiring, the most enthusiastic person I have ever met in terms of being enthusiastic about space and about engineering and science. And that really had a big impact on me. So yes, but still I did not know what I will do the year after. So in theory, I was... for those who are familiar with the careers in the UK, I was in the MEng program, which is 4 years, but I was doing the internship, so I was meant to come back for a 4th year. But I did not want to come back to the University of Manchester for a 4th year because I knew I wanted to do space, so I wanted to do a master's in space. So somehow I managed to not get into visa problems and so on, and zigzagged over all the hurdles, the bureaucratic hurdles, and I was able to just graduate that year after the placement. But throughout the year, I was trying to look for something to do. And there was either trying to look for a job already on a space company, to which I think I had applied to OHB at the time, got rejected as well. And I also had applied to Stanford, the only university which at the time I was, okay, I want to go here. Like, I want to do the master's at Stanford. And they had put a massive amount of effort to apply for that. Because you also had to do this GR something test, which was in another city, 5 hours of an exam. Still got a really good score, and I was really happy, and I was certain I will get it. got rejected. And at that point, I was completely lost. I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I was also thinking about maybe taking a gap year. It's something that I had always wanted to do, and something that I think, and I think many of you may relate to this with me. Like when you go and meet with Europeans, Americans, Australians, like a lot of them have had the chance to just do a gap year, travel around, figure out what do they want to do in their life and so on. Which for me, like the first time I heard about that, I was like, wow, okay, you get to not do anything for a year. And so the first time I heard about that idea, I had wanted to do it. I still haven't been able to. So that was one of the options, one that my parents definitely didn't support. And at that time, I had come across the International Space University's website. I had no idea what the International Space University was. And in fact, the first time I entered their website, I was like, it's a very strange thing. Because at that time, their website didn't even have, the security, like how when you go to HTTPS, there is like a security thing which kind of tells you, okay, this website is secure. I think they were making some changes, so they didn't even have this. And I was okay, like just discarded it and continued. And then later on, just to please my parents, I was okay, I'll apply for this thing. Anyways, it's too expensive, so I'll just apply for a scholarship. If I get the scholarship and they accept it, I'll think about it. So yes, and towards May, I received a letter saying that they had got a partial scholarship, which was good enough, at least for my parents to be able to cover the rest of the funds. Once more, my parents were saving me, and honestly, initially I was not sure whether to accept the offer or not, because again, I still did not know so much about the International University, and I wanted to do an engineering master's at the time. I did not want to do something else. And the International Space University Masters is an interdisciplinary one, where you get to learn about every single thing, but you're not really going to be, doing equations on on how much ISP you need for your rocket. I don't. So, but after speaking with a few people, every time I will speak with someone and tell them, oh, I got accepted to the International Space University, which for me was okay. I mean, it's just some random university. They will go, wow, oh, Dad, congrats, very big. They will be very happy, and they'll, okay, I'm missing something in here, and so then yes. I ended up talking with a few people that knew it very well, and my mindset completely changed, and I accepted the offer. I had a very, very tough time that summer getting the visa on time once more, which I guess it's another thing that you guys all relate to. But yes, fortunately it was all good, and yes, so I went to the International Space University, which is where I spent my 2019-2020 doing the masters. Which was an amazing, like surrealist experience. It's really unique place. Even when I got there, I still did not know so much what I was going to find, but thanks God, I loved everything that I found. It's a very stressful, intensive experience as well, but it's really a life-changing one. So I totally recommend to anyone who has the chance to go to the International University and is someone who likes space and likes learning about everything to go there. So and I think it was through that time. I mean, I had always been super interested and super reading everything that is going through the continent. So also Morocco, sometimes the north of Africa is a bit separated, I guess, from the rest of Africa, which I personally always found annoying. And a lot of times that separation actually comes from North Africans themselves. But I was always, on the other side. No, I'm African. So I was always reading things and so on. But in terms of space, it was at the International Space University the first time that I did something related to that, which was my individual project, which was on designing a constellation of CubeSats for Earth observation, in support of addressing the challenges of the Sustainable Development Goals in the continent. So, which was a really good experience where I learned a lot. My supervisor was also someone from Nigeria, Taiwo, who has been a great person and a super good supervisor and a mentor for me. And that's where kind of my interest in Africa grew and grew and grew, and I was just reading more, and everything that I wanted to do about space was okay, space, but Africa. And so the next step for me was finding an internship, which I had gotten accepted one on NASA Ames in the Bay Area in San Francisco, which was okay, a dream come true. Well, not so much because of NASA, because I have never been like the kind of, because I never dreamt of being like, an astronaut or about space when I was a kid. For me, NASA was just another agency like ESA and so on. But of course, I was super happy when I heard that. But really, the dream was going to live in California. But okay, then COVID came and the plans had to change. So, but first it got delayed, then canceled, so I had to just find something else. And it was through this time where I found the opportunity to apply for regional coordinator for SGAC. And I applied. I had never been involved in SGAC. I knew about it. I had regularly kind of been checking whether there were roles for national point of contact for Morocco or something. But yes, when I saw this, I was, okay, let me apply for it. And yes, I contacted different national points of contact. I don't remember whether I contacted you, Kingsley, or not. I think I did. No, yeah. So yes, many of them were super supportive and so on. And yes, I applied. Did everything, and I got the position, which was also another quite life-changing thing for me. Because on the past 8 months or 1 year, my head was like almost 100% on doing things for SGAC, for Africa, like so many activities and things that we did together. I think Kingsley has mentioned many of them while preparing the African Space Generation workshop. But yes, I have just been able to meet so many people through this position. And learning so much about all the cultures in the continent, about all the good things and the bad things as well, and the best thing, which is working with all those people towards trying to make things better. And at the same time, I still had to find an internship. So I found this opportunity on a startup that was called LeanSpace, that was founded by some ISU alumni. It's 4 founders, but 2 of them are ISU alumni. So I spoke with them and so on, and I first started just working part-time with them while waiting for the NASA, for COVID to disappear. It never happened, so I ended up doing my internship with them. Really enjoyed my internship, really worked with them, so I signed they offered me a contract, so I signed that, and that's currently my position. So LeanSpace is a software startup, so space software. So we're developing kind of a cloud platform where you can manage, develop, and operate space missions. I can't say much, unfortunately, because we're in stealth mode, so it's all quite secret. But yes, I work as a product owner, so leading some of the services, also doing business development, doing a bit of everything, which is one of the wonderful things about working on a startup. And I guess this webinar is about careers. So if I had to give an advice to anyone, any Africans looking for jobs, I would stop trying to look for jobs for Airbus, like Thales Alenia, like all these things. First of all, because it's really hard to get into those if you're not European or American in the case of America. But apply for startups. Startups are much more flexible in terms of sponsoring your visa. It also depends on the country. Like you have to check the regulations and so on. But it's much more likely that you will go talk to someone who owns a startup, who sees that you're interested and really passionate about the work they do, than for that. But it's not only about it's easier to get that opportunity, but also you're going to learn far more on a startup than on a big company. You're going to have far more opportunities. So that will be my recommendation. And as per the work on SGAC, I don't know because I feel like we're already past the hour. But yes, I think I'm not going to say anything about that, because I know that most of you already are aware about most of SGAC's activities. And yes, now for me, for the future, I'm in fact going to leave the role of regional coordinator soon. And there is going to be a replacement. The application is opened if anyone is interested. As I said, it's a great opportunity, and I would recommend to anyone who wants to take up the challenge. It's a really tough and requiring thing, but it's really, really fulfilling and great as well. So I recommend that. And but yes, I'm still involved on everything that is Africa and space. I'm working with the International Space University to provide more opportunities to African students, and yes, bringing more things from our continent to everything that happens there, because it's a great hub and network place to develop opportunities and find opportunities. And yes, so I think I'm gonna finish there so that there is time for questions. I hope I was not too long. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Elias. Wow, that was quite an intense story. Thank you so much, and thanks too for the recommendations. So we'll just take the next speaker, and then we'll take a few questions. Um, Mr. Andrew, I don't know if you are ready. Andrew, we can hear you. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay. It looked like he might be having some issues. So I think just for now, we can just turn to the panel discussion. I mean, from my perspective, we can, of course, have this last a bit longer. It depends on you guys if you have the availability. Of course, if you have to run, let me know at any time. And then we can cut it short. But I think it would be very interesting for our audience to hear a bit more, not just your own path, but also what kind of skills they need to learn, what kind of capabilities they should try and gain, and just generally how can they themselves apply themselves and where should they be looking. But I think Nelly also can get a bit deeper into that. I'll let her continue leading that.
Okay. Yeah, so just take a few questions and I'll just go randomly. So I'm going to start with Kingsley. I think from your story, you've been involved in a lot of organization in terms of conferences and attending all of this. And like they say, network becomes a network. So I would like to tell us a bit about your personal network in the space industry for those of us coming newly and for our audience. Like, how do we build our personal network and how does this affect our careers?
Yeah, if I get you right, I mean, your line was kind of breaking, but if I get you right, if you can just maybe summarize for me, your line was kind of breaking.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. My question was, how did you build your personal network in the space sector? Yes.
Oh, okay. So, like I do always advise everyone, you have to start small. Start small means get yourself involved in, you can start from maybe schools, groups, organizations, then you get yourself involved in such groups. And that is where you get most of this information from. That is where you get to hear opportunities out there. You start to make new friends. So you start small from student level. Then if you hear of any organization which is out there, you also get yourself involved in those organizations. I always recommend the Space Generation Advisory Council, which is also another good platform that you can meet new friends, network, and get access to attend a lot of these conferences and workshops, which is another good thing. And one thing also is to try as much as possible to volunteer. You have to develop the attitude of volunteering, which is another good platform. Because if you want to start something like a job straight up, people will not engage you. But if you want to volunteer, everybody would like to work with you. So develop that volunteering. So as you notice when I was presenting, I've volunteered in most of them. Yeah, and I also encourage you, vie for positions. If you see any positions over there, please vie for it. We also encourage most of the ladies, please vie for such positions. We need more ladies to take up the leadership roles as well. And it's one that I've also been pushing forth. I'm trying to get a lot of ladies into astronomy and then space science in Ghana as well. Yeah, so so start small and attend conferences, volunteer, and try and get mentorships too. It's very another important thing. Try and get people who are ahead of you. They will guide you and direct you. They've already been there. They will give you some direction, and I think that really helps me. That really helped me a lot. Yeah, I think so far that is the only thing that I have to say.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That was apt and very helpful. So since you mentioned ladies in your last comment, I'm just going to ask Tiana Williams this question. She has done a lot of mentoring and would like her to share her personal experience in trying to get more women involved in the GIS sector in Africa. What are the challenges that you have faced so far and have you been able to, overcome them? And finally, like, do you think you're making like positive impact? Are these ladies really getting involved? Are you meeting up expectations together with your co-founder?
That's a very long question. I'll try my best to answer. But let me kind of take from the last question that yes, I feel we are making impact. We actually started our third cohort for mentorship, and we had some of the previous cohorts come in to express like their experiences or give stories on their experiences from how their mentorship went to encourage the incoming mentees. And from what I heard and read, it looks like it went really well. For our mentorship programs, we try as much as possible to kind of connect the ladies to people who are in the space of interest. So one lady was interested in LiDAR, so we connected her with a lady who was also working in the LiDAR field, and that has really helped her. She got introduced to a number of people to widen her network. She got introduced to courses, affordable courses that she could take up to polish up her interest. And other people also learn holistic skills. So apart from your career, you also need to learn how to take care of yourself and some of the things that you can do personally. And some people have benefited from that from their mentors. And we are trying to kind of handle some of the problems that I outlined in my presentation. They are quite long-term solution needed problems. So we are trying as much as possible. Currently, we are working with those who are already in the field, and we are hoping to go through with the grassroots, as I mentioned, post-COVID. And for now, we are trying to give the members the things that they need. So previously, we had some internal events that looked at some postgraduate opportunities. So we had some of the volunteers to organize a program where the members were invited to come and learn more about how they can apply for postgraduate opportunities, some of the things they need in writing their letters and getting their applications done for scholarships and all those things. So we try as much as possible to provide these kind of opportunities. We also try to collaborate with other organizations. As I said, we had an organization, AfrisNet, that also helps students to get postgraduate opportunities. We invited them and had a collaboration with them so that our members can benefit from their services. We also had a collaboration with Here Technologies that had a project that helped kind of, when you join, you help them to upgrade or to add on to their maps. So that also gives the members some portfolio material. So as Kingsley said, you have to volunteer. If you don't volunteer, it'll be very difficult for you to penetrate the web market. So that's how some of the members get items onto their CVs to bump up their portfolios as well. So these are some of the things that we are trying to do currently per what we have available to make sure that our members are benefiting from it career-wise. And with time, we hope to also tackle the fundamental problems as well.
Wow, thank you very much, Liana.
You're welcome.
So I'm just going to ask Elias. You mentioned that he had to work with a lot of people and in the different companies. So Elias, can you tell us about the necessary soft skills that you think young people coming up in the industry should have while working with a team, like soft skills from your perspective?
Yes. Okay. So soft skills. So I would say that for me, an important soft skill, although I don't know if it's really categorized as a soft skill, is to be as open-minded as possible. And I'm not talking only open-minded on cultures and nationalities and languages and things like that, but also open-minded in terms of disciplines and things to learn. So I think when you really open your mind to learning about other things and about what other people are doing, it makes it much easier to interact with those people, and you also just automatically kind of engage with them in a more, let's say, humble way, which at the end benefits you because you learn more, and also they will see that, they will feel that, and they will be more happy to work with you and do things with you. Another soft skill that is, of course, very, very helpful is that of being able to speak in public and not be shy about it. I have met a lot of people throughout the last few years who were like super talented, brilliant, but that not have much confidence when it comes to speaking in public, or be scared, about what other people will think when they say something and it's maybe not as perfect, which is very funny, because most of the time those people are the ones that actually speak very well, and every time they speak, like they never say something that is like wrong or something like that. But sometimes it's better to just go out there. Like, I'm not saying that you talk about things that you don't know. That's not good. In fact, I would recommend to absolutely not do that. When you don't know what you're talking about, just listen. And it's a mistake that we all do, but it's better to reduce it as much as possible. But I will definitely encourage to anyone that is shy and does not feel very comfortable speaking in public. And when I say speaking in public, I don't necessarily mean, speaking in a conference in front of 100 people. Okay, I imagine that's hard for most people. But even, in meetings with a small team of 5 people, or in a webinar like this, so that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think those are the two that I would like to highlight.
Great. Yeah, thanks a lot, Elias. I think Nelly might be either she doesn't know she's muted or she has internet issues right now. Yeah, but I can just jump in here anyways.
Yes,
because it's been very interesting to just hear, of course, all your stories and what you've gone through essentially to get to the point where you are right now. Has there been anything on the road that you've noticed has changed a lot since you started till now, or do you feel like most of what you were working on was sort of in your expectations? And I think this one I'll also let Elias answer.
You mean whether something changed in the road, as in like internally, or like you mean like outside?
From both perspectives. So either, I guess outside there might not have been as many changes. You might have noticed it more internally. So we can start on that, I guess.
Yes. So for me, I think the biggest change for me throughout this year, it's that now, if I want to learn something, or I need help with something, or I want to do a project, start something, I know that I will not be alone. I know that I have like a network of I don't know, X number of people who I can go to, and who I have worked with previously, who I know they're good at what they do, and who are willing to work with me, or help me if it's not directly work with me, that I can go to and ask for help. I think that has been the biggest change for me internally. Although also the fact that I have always been like probably overly ambitious sometimes, but I've always been of always pushing myself to do things beyond what is expected and so on. But I think throughout the years, and it's related to the previous thing that I said, I have felt like I feel less and less, that I see something and I'm like, oh, that's impossible, that's too hard. No, like things that a few years back I would have said I would have never dreamt of trying to do. Now I see them and I'm, oh yes, let's do it.
Yeah. And in that spirit of taking on new challenges, Sayana, in terms of the GIS industry, are there any interesting challenges or big challenges that you think people should be tackling right now? Like, where's the opportunity for someone who's new to try and get involved in GIS? What should they be looking at?
That's a really good question. GIS is kind of evolving like technology really, really fast. And right now we are taking on a lot of mixture of the new tech. So that is in terms of machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep learning, and even a bit of the virtual reality. So virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality. Yeah. So if you want to enter into GIS, if you're in Africa, you can start with the fundamentals. That is like understanding the different kinds of geodata, database management, a bit of using the solutions, the technologies available. So that's like QGIS, ArcGIS. If you are interested in remote sensing, you learn a bit of that as well. And also, it will be really good for you to add some complementary skills. So for instance, I learned a bit of drone piloting and photogrammetry. You can do that as well to add to your remote sensing knowledge. If you are also interested in creating like the architecture part of the solutions, I would recommend that you learn programming. That's really important. And one thing that is really growing is Python. Python is really, really growing, and it helps you to kind of dive into the artificial intelligence fields. So that really, really helps. We have LiDAR that is also coming up. It's really good for you to learn that as well. We have indoor mapping that is also growing. We also have, actually, there are quite a lot. And it's really exciting to see how much the geospatial field is growing. It's quite overwhelming sometimes, but I'll say take your time, go through the different fields that are available, do your research to know what is of interest to you. If you try to learn everything at once, you get overwhelmed and give up easily. So I would say take your time, do your research, know exactly where your interests lie, do research into the opportunities that are available in those fields, and then start little by little. Get a mentor, get people around you, a community that will help you to learn further and will challenge you to do things, attend events, try as much as possible to learn anywhere. There are so many right now. I'm happy to say that there are quite a number of free courses online that you can take up from Esri, and also some of them are online, like some of the online learning platforms. As you know, COVID has forced a lot of things online, so it's much easier for you to get some learning materials. And yeah, I would say just make sure that whatever you are learning, you share it with the world. Don't hide everything. It might take a while for you to get confidence in your work, but when you do, please don't hide it. Try as much as possible to let people know what you're learning. And it's also helpful if you also teach people. I don't know, but when I was in school, when I teach people, I learn better. So that could also help. And yeah, just continue learning. That's what I can say, honestly.
Yeah, you just gotta stay curious and keep working at
Yeah,
it day by day. There is no magic solution, unfortunately. You
yeah,
know, nothing in life comes
yeah,
easy. You just kind of have to focus on what it is that you're interested in and just keep working at it.
yeah, exactly.
Nelly, are you back? You're still muted, but I don't know if you're still connected with us.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, great. Then I'll hand over back to you again. And we've come about the 1.5 hour mark. I would say maybe
Yeah.
one or two questions, and then I think it'll be a good time to wrap it up and let everybody enjoy their Saturday.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm just going to ask and say one more question. I noticed that everybody here has this common interest, and it's the African space industry. So it's a really open-ended question. Like, what do you think is the future of the African space industry in, let's say, 5 years, especially with regards to the African Space Agency? Everybody wants to know, like, is this going to work? Are we really going to have all the opportunities? So I'd like you to say one or two things on that.
Yeah, yeah, no, if you can hear me, sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm on. Yeah. So, of course, the future is bright, although there are a lot of challenges. And I think the challenges is not just in Africa, it's almost all over the world. And most often, we actually focus a lot on the challenges rather than looking at the opportunities out there that we can actually make good use of. Yeah, we do understand that there are a lot of challenges in terms of human resources. We recently had a roundtable discussion with in Ghana with some of the decision-making body. We had the director for the Ghana Space Science and Technological Institute. We had people from the ministry, we had researchers, and we have teachers on board. We were trying to discuss about the future of Ghana space science. And we realized that there are a lot of challenges that we will encounter going forward. One of them is about we don't have a national space law. Of course, a national space policy to direct most of our activities that we've been doing, although we make good use of the international laws out there. Yeah, so we understand that there are a lot of challenges, but of course, a lot of people in Africa are doing a lot. If you look at South Africa, we can use them as a stepping stone, or maybe go outside there, the United States, which they have a huge budget to support their space science. And of course, we need the government willpower, of course. And it's good to know that African Union is playing a very major role trying to push for the African space agency. And the good thing is that in Africa, the majority of us are the youth, and that is a good thing. That's I'm so much happy. If you see a lot of youth who are engaged in this space science, then it tells us that indeed we have a bright future ahead of us. Yeah. So indeed we have a bright future ahead of us. There are challenges, of course. Some of the programs, we don't even have some of the space-related programs that we can take in Ghana, not in Ghana, in almost all the African countries. Most of our experts are outside there. Initially we were having our meeting and we realized that I'm in UK. Susan is in different place. Kweku is in Germany. Elias is in. So you can see that is it. So a lot of the experts are outside there, and we really want to come down. But there are a lot of challenges down there. But of course, I will encourage all those experts. Now, COVID has opened the door that we can engage and teach people wherever you are. Let's try and make good use of every opportunity. Let's go down there and give back to society. So anyone who is an expert out there in any of the space science, please, let's join the community. Let's go back there and support the young people. There are lots of young people who are space enthusiasts down there. We need to spread the gospel. The gospel according to space science, chapter 1, verse 1, out there. It needs to get to every person out there. There are huge opportunities out there. We need to train ourselves. If you look at the gap between Africa and the other country, is so wide. Of course, we can't just start launching rockets into Mars, but we can start from our own place, know our needs as Africa, build our curriculum. Our educational curriculum is one thing that we can start from. We realize that we can't start straight by launching rocket to Mars, but we need to look at our needs and try and review our curriculum to fit within our needs as Africa. And I believe that by doing all these things and getting all the experts, engaging all the experts, we need a government willpower. All these things, when we do it, I'm sure we will get there. There are a lot of things that we can make good use of. I think Sina made mention of online courses that are there. I will encourage most of the youth, please. Education, some people say education is expensive, but of course, if education is expensive, then try ignorance. Yeah, so sometimes you need to pay for even conferences, sometimes you need to pay for workshops, sometimes you need to pay for this online online thing. Please do learn some programming languages, and that is now almost everywhere. Learn Python, learn C++. I learned Python online myself before I started with the training, and now that is what I'm using for my studies over here. And if you're applying for any maybe applying for a PhD, a master's out there, and of course I noticed that you have a programming skill, I'll definitely go in for you who have a programming skill, but going for someone who doesn't have a programming skill at all. Yeah, so it will be a plus on your CV, and the world is changing now. Everyone is actually using the programming, whatever field you are doing, whether you are doing a social science, you will need a programming skill. And it's everywhere, and we are advancing from that to artificial intelligence, which will be the bigger picture. Now we are dealing with huge data sets. Okay, we need a lot of people to be able to get the skills to handle some of these data. The SKA project currently, we are dealing with a huge data set. I'm running simulation and modeling, and of course I deal with a lot of huge data set over here. So you need that skill, and we need a lot of youth to get these skills. And I'm sure with that, in the next 5 years, we will not maybe get to where they are, but we will do things according to that fit within the needs of Africa, the basic needs that we can also help to support. Currently, Ghana, we are battling with illegal mining, and some of these skills, we have the youth who can use the skills of space science to help cure some of these things. Of course, there are a lot of, the small needs. So let's start with those small things. Let's not look at the bigger picture there. Let's look at our needs. How do we do environmental monitoring? In our health, agriculture, all these things are there for us to explore as African. So like I would always say, let's start from the basics, then we will then get there. I think if you leave me, I'll talk a lot. I'm so much passionate about these things. Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much, Kingsley.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we take one last question for Elias. Elias, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, I know it's a cliche question, but it can get really confusing. Get so much information. In summary, like, how can our audience get involved in the space sector
just from your perspective, how can someone get involved? Maybe they're just leaving school or they are still in school. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think throughout the webinar, we have already given plenty of hints of how you can get involved. And I think Kingsley before made a really, really good point, like, which is be ready to volunteer. I think maybe at the very least 50% of what I do on my week is volunteering, like work, but without getting paid or anything. But you're not gonna get any money, but you get a lot of things that will later on give you money and other things that are better than money. So I would say that look for places where you can volunteer, whether it's the astronomy club on your town, or whether it's SGAC, whether it's the Moon Village Association, whether it's SETS, whether it's some of the things that Siana is doing with GIS women. There is so many organizations. Whether it is Space Hubs itself, there is so many organizations, some bigger, some smaller, that are doing projects and provide opportunities for people to get involved in space and learn things. You just have to go out there and literally type something of space volunteering organizations, and you're going to find things. And of course, a lot of them you have to apply. Maybe you'll get rejected a couple of times, but that's how these things work in general. And if you want to avoid getting rejected too many times, then you have to do what Kingsley said as well, which is learn things on your own. You don't always need money to learn things. You don't always need to go to university. As he provided the best example, which is programming. You can download Python or Java or whatever for free, and there is plenty of YouTube videos, and you can learn that for free yourself. But also with other things. In fact, even now, like with, let's say, things that were more exclusive like 10 years ago, such as space engineering. Now you can find things on YouTube and the free courses where you can learn a lot. You can learn the same things that I learned while I was in the University of Manchester, but without paying the amount of money that I paid. So I think that's the way to go. I don't know if Siana, you have something to add there.
Oh, you have said it all.
I think that's actually all from my end. I don't know if Chris
Yeah, I think that's really great. Thank you guys. Thank you, Siana. Thank you, Kingsley. Thank you, Elias, for your time, for your perspectives. I think we did really learn quite a lot. If I wanted to sum up basically the theme of this webinar, it would be play the long game. You know, you're not gonna get there tomorrow, you're not gonna get there in a month, but if you keep working at it over time, keep looking for opportunities, keep staying hungry, keep volunteering, keep reaching out to other people, you know, you're gonna make it. There's no doubt about that. I think that's the story that everybody shared here, is that it wasn't just one step and they're there. There was a series of steps, a series of missteps, rejection, failure, but ultimately success. And now they are where they are, you know, and the story is just really beginning. Because space as a whole is really beginning, especially in Africa. So there's a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of ways you can take it. And it's something that really is an investment into the future. In terms of looking for resources or people to help, you know, that's what Space Hubs Africa is essentially for. So our aim is really to try and help you on your journey, to try and put you in touch with other people, to try and guide you down the right path, let you know what to study. So that's what we're here for. So, I mean, if you have any questions ever, you know, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Nelly. We're on all social media, so LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Space Hubs Africa. You can join our community.Space Hubs Africa. So there are a lot of resources already out there for you. So feel free to get in touch, be active. And yeah, thank you a lot for attending this webinar. Sorry if there were any other questions out there that we didn't get to answer. But of course, we're trying to have more regular webinars. So of course, you can also let us know who you want to have as guests on here, what topics you want us to cover. The recorded version of this webinar will also be available within our community platform, so community.spacehubs.africa. Yeah, I think that's it from our side. Thanks a lot, everyone. And we'll see you the next time we have another webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Thank you.